if you still remember, for the teams, for the what we call the okay, class, good morning to you all. I think we can start now, yeah? So, like usual, I want to do the sound check first. Can you hear me loud and clear? You can respond. Can you hear me loud and clear? Can you see me? Okay, very good. Thank you for your response. Wei Rock Zi Chin Kayan. Okay, good, very good. Can. Good morning. Yes, good morning to you, Ying Tung. Right. So very good. So I think we can start now. Before we start, it is about your workbook. Okay, I think the school are still trying to find the day for you to come to school. Maybe you and your parent come to school to get the workbook lah, to buy the workbook. Because last time, Saturday last week, Form 1 is already buy their workbook lah on Saturday. Okay, maybe for the rest of the form, maybe Form 2 and Form 3, the school will start to schedule when you will able to come to school and then buy the workbook. Because and also the textbook also, because we need to arrange the time. We need to arrange the what we call the traffic, so that we do not overwhelm the school lah. So Form 1 already settled last Saturday. Form 2, they will be the school will reschedule lah. If anything, latest information, I will give you the latest information in our at our Telegram group. Okay, this is about your workbook. Okay, so right now you haven't got your textbook and workbook, right? Still not get, right? Wong Wu Wei Rock. Okay, not okay. Never mind. Just be patient, and then I hope you already download the soft copy of textbook that I already give you via the link, right? So I think you can download the first chapter lah. Only the first, maybe the first and the second chapter, and then you maybe you can read it before we start the class, right? So for workbook, keep in view, be patient. The school will arrange the correct time and date, and then if there is any latest information, I will give you, I will tell you on our Telegram group. Okay, so that is number 1. So are you ready? So we try to start the class today. So I need you to see my presentation first. Make sure you can see my presentation. I will share the slide right now. Okay, can you see my presentation? Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Right. Okay, good. So we're going to start the class for today. So we're going to go through the first chapter in themes number 1. If you still remember the themes number 1, okay, themes number 1, we're going to learn about living things. Okay, if you still remember last week in table of content, there are 4 chapters. Okay, there are 4 chapters, chapter 1 to chapter 4 in themes number 1. Okay, maintenance and continuity of life. Okay, we go through chapter number 1 first. So chapter number 1 is about what we call a biodiversity. Okay, biodiversity mean here, if I can make it here, Okay, bio mean life. Okay, bio mean life. If you still remember biology, bio and logy, meaning that the study of living things. Okay, the study of living things. This is biology. So what is bio? Bio is basically life or the living things. Okay, this is life. Okay, we must understand the terms first, before we continue to learn more. Okay, biodiversity mean it combine the both words. Bio mean living things and diversity. What does diversity mean here? Diversity mean, anybody can tell me? The variety, or what we call many things, or we can say it is different things. Okay, this is what mean by diversity. Okay, maybe there is a different in form, different in size, different in what we call the location where the living things live. Okay, this is what we call biodiversity. Okay, because in our planet Earth, we have million, if not thousand, hundred of thousands of species of various type of living thing live in our Earth. So we're going to learn the many things, the many variety of living things. Okay, this is biodiversity. Okay, can you follow me? Is it okay? Yes, many. Yes, it is many. Follow me, eh? Okay, all right. Okay, next one. So what you're going to learn in chapter 1, you may able to explain, number 1, what is biodiversity. Number 2, why it is important to classify organisms systematically. And then number 3, how is biodiversity is conserved. Okay, this is what you're going to learn. And after the class, you must be able to understand and to answer and then to explain these 3 questions. Right? So next one. Okay. So 1.1, diversity of an organism. So I will read it for you. Okay. One of the what we call mega biodiversity country in the world. Mega biodiversity means there are many type of species of animal and plant. Okay. If you what we call found the word biodiversity, meaning maybe in what we call related to animal and plant. Okay. Put aside human. Okay, because we are on the top of the food chain. We are going, this biodiversity mean here, plant and animal. So Malaysia is one of the country in the world which has what we call many type of species of plant, many type species of animals, and then some of the species of animal and plant is not found other place in the world. Okay. This is just the introduction, diversity of organism. Okay, for example, diversity of animal and plant in Malaysia, we have many type of flower, species of the animals and others. Okay, so number 1, the first one, what is diversity? Biodiversity. The diversity of organism, microorganism, animal or plant. Okay, please remember, include microorganism, animal, and plant. Okay, I think animal and plant you already know, right? Animal, for example, the cat, dog, tiger, and lion. And then plant also the hibiscus flower, and then maybe the durian tree, and then the rambutan tree. So what is microorganism? Anybody can give me one example of microorganism? I think we already learned in Form 1. Okay, what is the type of microorganism here? Anybody? You can use the microphone function or chat function. Bijali, yes, amoeba. You still remember in Form 1, you learn about multicellular organism and unicellular organism. Liao Yingtung, yes, also Hydra. Hydra is multi-cellular organism, but it is very tiny. Okay, it is included in what we call a microorganism. Okay, so this is what we call a biodiversity. Not just amoeba, hydra, paramecium, and there is 1,000 more, maybe what we call microorganism, yeah, inside the water, for example. This is what we call by biodiversity. Okay, microorganism, animal, and plant. Okay, and then how it exists? Biodiversity exists because of the diversity of habitat and climate. What's mean here? Okay, habitat is what we call a place that animal live. We cannot call it home. Yeah? Habitat is the place, what we call animal live. The animal live at what we call at the habitat. Okay, we cannot call it house or home. House or home is just for human. Habitat is for animal usually. And then the climate. Climate here mean what? Climate here mean maybe there is what we call at the desert, at the what we call the Arctic or Antarctic, where the overall what we call the environment is very cold, or the environment is very hot. Okay, that is the climate. Okay, so what is the climate? If in Malaysia, yeah, we go to Malaysia first. What is the climate in Malaysia? Is it very cold or very hot, or is it what in Malaysia? Ziying, very hot or what we call normal? Okay, hot. Okay, we call our climate here is tropical climate, yeah, meaning that we have what we call hot and cold. We have both of the climate here in Malaysia. We call it tropical climate. Sometimes it is hot and then sometimes it is cold, but it is not too hot and then it is not too cold like other place in the world. For example, here, yeah, can you see the picture here? At the desert, for example, desert is a very harsh place, because the condition is very hot. And then if we look at another place, at the polar region meaning that near the Arctic and then near the Antarctic, the polar region where the condition or where the weather here is very cold. So this is what we call a climate here. And then based on the different climate and habitat, we can find different species of animal. For example here, what are the animals we usually found in the desert? What is this animal? What is this animal? Usually found in the desert, right? Okay, it is a camel, right? The camel usually live in the desert where the condition is very, very hot. And then there is maybe a little water only. Okay, and then if you go to the area or the region where the weather or the climate is much colder, we can see species like a penguin here. Okay, penguin live in the place that the environment is very cold. Okay, so you can see what I'm going to say here is different climate will have different organism. Okay, adapt to their climate and then adapt to their habitat. Okay, that's why we cannot find in Malaysia, because Malaysia, we can say a tropical country, not too hot, not too cold, but sometimes it's very hot, right? That's why in Malaysia we cannot find the penguin, or we cannot find the camel as a native organism or native animal that is originated from Malaysia. We cannot find that. Okay, why? Because different habitat and different climate. Okay, different habitat and different climate. Okay, can you understand this? Okay, different organisms have different characteristics which enable them to adapt and thrive independently in their respective habitat. Okay, there are also special features for that animal to adapt and to thrive. What is meaning by adapt and thrive? For example, the camel here. Camel can live in the desert where the condition of the environment is very hot, because it got what we call special feature on its body that can store water here, right? Okay, special features here, we call it the hump of the camel that can store fat. That is what we call inside the hump here, we got the fat that can store water. That is the very what we call special features or special characteristic that enable them to adapt and live in the desert. Okay, for the penguin here, what do you think the characteristic of penguin that enable the penguin to adapt to a colder temperature? Anybody? What is the characteristic you think for penguin? Chow Jian Hao. Okay, the fur, right? Ng Ziying, Jia Li, Ying Tung. Yes, they have a very thick fat and very thick fur. That's why it can survive on a very cold temperature. Okay, that's why both of the animal we cannot find in Malaysia. Because why? Malaysia, very special, what we call climate. We are tropical climate, but not very hot, not very cold. So, if I ask you, what are the typical animal that found in Malaysia? The typical, what we call animal. Okay, in Malaysia, we have tiger, right? And then we have the elephant, and then various birds that can adapt to the condition, the climate and the condition of the habitat and climate in Malaysia. Can you understand this? And then some of the animal can only live in the soil. For example, the earthworm here, and then some of the element can only live in water, such as the fish. Depend on the habitat and depend on the climate here. Okay, can you understand this? Can you explain what is biodiversity later? All right. Can I continue? Okay. Okay, good. So the second one, the importance of biodiversity. Okay, the importance of biodiversity. Why we need to understand the biodiversity? Why we need to learn about biodiversity? Because it is very important. Like I said earlier, yeah, we are not alone in this earth. Okay, animal, human, and plant all interdependent, meaning that we need each other. That's why we should learn about this, and then we should learn what is the importance of the biodiversity. All right. So next one. So it said here, biodiversity is the priceless treasure and a legacy of nature which should be preserved. Okay. It is very what we call priceless treasure. Okay. And then we should be preserve it. So we go one by one. What is what we call the importance of biodiversity? Okay, this is number one. the sources of food. That's why I said earlier, we human depend on plant and animal. For number one, usually to become our sources of food, right? Because we need to eat. Where do we get the food? We get the food from the animal and plant. Why we need to eat? Because we want to get energy. Energy for what? Energy to do our daily activity, such as what? Such as learning, such as working. Okay, so the main sources of food for human is plant and animal. That's why it is very important, number one. Number two is balance in nature. Okay, balance in nature. For example, here, the cycle of nutrient, pollination, interaction between organisms create balance in nature. If you still remember Form 1, Chapter 4, is it Chapter 4 or Chapter 2? Chapter 4, sorry, reproduction. Yeah, reproduction of plant. We also need animal because we need animals such as the bee here to do the what we call pollination. Pollination between the between the plant. Okay, in order for the plant to reproduce. Okay, we need bees. Okay, this is what we call balance is nature. They depend on each other. Human depend on the animal and plant. Plant also, some of the plant depend on the animal. For what? Usually for pollination. Okay, so number three, what is number three? Number three here is the recreational places. Okay, area that are rich in biodiversity can be developed as recreational places, such as what? Such as you go to the Cameron Highland, or you go to the Taman Negara. Okay, you go to the what we call waterfall. Okay, they are rich in biodiversity that we can go and then to release our what we call go for vacation to release our stress and whatever. Okay, so number three, recreational places. Number four, for medical. This is very important, especially for the Chinese medical. You know, usually this is what we call a traditional medicine. Traditional medical, we call it alternative medical. Sometimes people long time ago, they take what we call some parts of the plant to make the medicine. Okay, they take some part of the plant to make the drugs and then to treat the sick person. Okay, herbs is what one example. We call it herbs. Okay, widely used in the manufacture of medicine and cosmetic. In Chinese, they are ginseng, right? Okay, very precious. What we call parts of parts of the plant. We call it ginseng. Maybe you know better. That part can be used as the medicine to treat maybe certain disease. Okay, so this is very important. All right, and then number five is what we call raw material for industries. What is industries mean? For example, you need to do the timber. Timber here is kayu balak lah, ya. Bamboo, rattan, and then to make what? To make musical instrument, furniture, and then to build buildings. Okay, maybe right now, the price of wood is very expensive lah, ya. Maybe we less depend on the timber or the wood. Okay, but many years ago, many of the building were still made from the wood. Okay, but nowadays, because of the deforestation, and then we have a very limited sources of wood or the timber, so the price of wood is slightly expensive. building material nowadays is less from wood, okay, but there are some places that they take a wood, they take wood as the what we call material for building, okay. Furniture, kayu jati, if you still remember the kayu jati, the furniture is also all made from the wood, okay. So that is number 5, raw material for industries. And then the last one, number 6, is for education, meaning that human increase knowledge and create new technology through scientific research on microorganism, animal, and plant. Okay, there are many areas still we're going to discover by doing the research, research on the animal and the plant. There are so many things that we still cannot understand. For example, the process of how the process of photosynthesis, for example, how the plant, okay, want to mix its own food by just using the sunlight and then using the carbon dioxide, and then the scientists right now, they want to replicate that. They want to try by not using plant, but they want to try making own food without using the plant. They want to study that. Okay, so you must understand these 5, 6, what we call the importance of biodiversity in the world. Okay, next one, the effective biodiversity management. Why we need to manage the biodiversity? Okay, because as you learn from topic number 2, because the biodiversity for human is very important, right? So because of their importance, we need to manage the biodiversity, meaning that maybe, for example, one of the important of the biodiversity is to make raw material for industries, right? This is one of the example. So we need to manage the biodiversity, meaning that what? We cannot take the wood, or we cannot take the material, the timber as we like. Okay, we need to control the what we call the forest. We need to control deforestation. Okay, that's why we need to what we call manage the biodiversity, right? Because why? If we still continue without any regulation, okay, we take the wood or we cut down the tree without regulation, without any enforcement, without any management, what will happen? There will be a consequences here. For example, there will be a deforestation. Deforestation meaning that this is what happened when we are not managing biodiversity effectively. People come and cut down the tree as long as they like to get the material. We do not want this to happen, okay? Because we have the responsibility to manage the biodiversity. So what we're going to do, we need to manage it. Okay, for example here, okay, this is the example. How you want to manage the biodiversity? Number 1, banning the killing of threat of endemic and endangered animal and plant through the Wildlife Protection 1972. There are certain law that you cannot what we call go and just cut down the tree. Cannot. There are a special place that we call Taman Negara. You still remember the Taman Negara? The what we call the reserved forest. You cannot go there and simply cut down the tree. If you go there and then cut down the tree, you can be charged, or you can be caught, and you can be caught by police lah, and then will be prosecuted. Okay, not just the forest, certain animal also we cannot we cannot hunt them. For example, tiger, the Malayan tiger, the elephant, or what we call the wildlife here. We cannot simply go there and then hunt them down. Okay, this is what we call the one of the biodiversity management. Okay, number two, I think there is problem with the textbook. Never mind, you can see your textbook later. Number two is protecting the habitat to creating national park, marine park, forest reserve, and wildlife sanctuary. Okay, I will highlight it here. Okay, national park. National park, marine park, what else? National park, marine park, sanctuary, forest reserve, animal sanctuary. Animal sanctuary. Okay, these are the place government want to protect the biodiversity by creating this what we call places. Okay, can you name me one of the national park in Semenanjung, Malaysia? One national park, very famous in Semenanjung, Malaysia. We call it Taman Negara, right? Taman Negara. Taman Negara in Pahang. Okay. We cannot go there and then cut down the tree. We preserve the biodiversity, meaning that we preserve the plant and then we preserve the animal. Okay. And then there are many places in Malaysia. There is what we call government is creating this what we call a national park, forest reserve, and animal sanctuary. Okay. And then number three here, undertaking reproductive programs such as seedling nurseries to help reforestation and turtle hatcheries, meaning that we try to reforestation. Reforestation mean here the opposite of deforestation, meaning after the tree has been cut down, we need to replant the tree. We need to plant the tree again. So this is what we call reforestation. And then turtle hatcheries. For example, we need to create a program so that the what we call the endangered species can breed on its own. Okay. So we can see here what is meaning by endemic species. Is the species that live in the cluster within a restricted habitat in specific location. Endemic species such as the Rafflesia, okay, and then the leatherback turtle, Malayan tiger, and the Borneo pygmy elephant. This is what we call endemic species. Okay, the quantity is not many. There are very little what we call number of the endemic species, and then we must take care of them, right? We must not destroy their habitat, okay, or hunt them down because their number is very limited. That's why we need to what we call save the endemic species or this endemic species from the extinction. Okay, because they are very important in the biodiversity in Malaysia. Right? Any question? You have any question? No question? Okay, never mind. So do you understand the first topic here? Okay, very good. All right. So activity 1.1, never mind, you can, for the science info, you just try to understand and read the info, because this is your additional info only. Okay, I will not explain it to you, but if you have any question about the science info on your textbook, you can ask me. Okay, so activity 1.1, I will think about it later whether you want to do it or not, but it is better for you to do it in group. But because of the combined class, I will think about it later. Okay, and then for your exercise, or for your home exercise, homework, usually, okay, if you still remember, if you are in 1 Alpha last year, every end of the subtopic, you need to do the formative practice at home. Okay, this is only because 2 Beta is also in my class. So you just remember this here again. I will repeat again. Every end of the subtopic, for example, 1 by 1, the diversity of organism, one subtopic, for example, 1 by 1. After, at the end of the topic, you must do the exercise on your textbook. Okay, you must do the formative practice 1.1, question 1, excuse me, to question number 4. And then you do it on the blue, on your science exercise book or the notebook, the blue big what we call exercise book, okay, or the science notebook. Wei Xiang, do in long book new. Yes, of course. But I think for 1 Alpha, this is for 1 Alpha only. If you you can continue to our last year book lah. Wei Xiang, you can continue. If the last year your notebook still many, okay, many empty pages, you can just continue it, no problem. Okay, but if you want to start using new book, also can. New book also can, or you can continue last year book also can. Last year book for 1 Alpha lah ya. Xinyi, Nuaning, Ihan, okay, understand ya. So this is your exercise for today. And then later on, not now, later on, I will give you some extra exercise for you to do online. Okay, later on. Okay, I will try to prepare it to you, and then you try to do the exercise online. Okay, so 1.1, we stop here, 1.1, and then we continue 1.2 next class on Friday. Is it okay? Any question? No question, yeah? Okay. If you have any question, please ask. Okay. Okay. Also, you can find a lot of the information on the internet. For example, you can search. I will stop the sharing now. I want to open the internet. I want to show you the internet. Yeah. Okay. Stop presenting. A window. Okay, for example, you can find a lot of information and then a lot of the picture on the internet. For example, you can search the what we call what is that name? National Park in Malaysia. Okay, National Park in Malaysia, and then you can find the image, and then maybe you can find what we call the location. Okay, so many information you can get on the internet. Malaysia National Park. Okay. A list of national park in Malaysia. What we call 12 most beautiful national park in Malaysia. Okay. Right. Number 1 is what? The Gunung Ledang National Park. This is the list in Malaysia. Right. And then, can you see the presentation? Can you see it, right? Can, Okay. For example, Gunung Ledang National Park. You don't need to memorize this, just to get you more information about what type of national park you can go or available in Malaysia. And then the Penang National Park, okay? The Endau Rompeng National Park. There are so many national park in Malaysia. Tunku Abdul Rahman National Park. This is in where? In Sabah, if I'm not mistaken, in Sabah. Okay. Lambir Hill National Park, Similajau National Park. This is in Sarawak. Niah National Park in Sarawak also. Gunung Gading, Bako, Kinabalu National Park. Kinabalu is one of the what we call the government reserve for national park. Okay. They can go there. People can go maybe for recreation. Recreation, no problem lah. Yeah? But if they go to this, they go to disturb the biodiversity. That is cannot. Also, maybe if you go to this national park and then you just plug, you just what we call snap plant only, also is illegal to do. You cannot do that. You cannot destroy the biodiversity. You cannot destroy the plant, and then you cannot kill the animal there. This is the what we call national park. And then this is the most famous one lah, the Taman Negara National Park. And then the number 1, Gunung Mulu National Park. These are the example of national park in Malaysia. Okay, just for the sake for the biodiversity, we want to preserve, we want to maintain the biodiversity so that it will not extinct, it will not destroy. Because why? Once it is extinct, we cannot get back the animal anymore. Okay? Can you understand this? So, who are responsible for all this? Who are responsible for all the biodiversity in the earth, in the world? Who are with the responsibility? The responsibility is human. Very good, Yintung. We as a human, all the people, yes, also, all the people. We should take care of our biodiversity because of this lah. So do not think about what we call material or just for the money. Okay, sometimes we need to preserve this because we depend on the biodiversity. We live together and we depend on each other. Okay, if you just take whatever there is until there is no more, then eventually, sooner or later, we as human also will what we call receive the consequences because of our wrongdoing. Okay, so we have 20 minutes. So I think I will stop here. Please remember to do the formative practice 1.1, and then I will give extra exercise. Don't worry, very short exercise because you haven't buy the workbook yet. Don't worry, I just give you the online exercise, only 1 pages only, later after the class, okay, for your homework. All right, so is there any question before I stop here? No question, right? So as usual, the attendance for today Google Meet is recorded. And then if you have anything to ask, you can ask on our Telegram and our Google Classroom. And then the PDP or the Google Meet session today, I will upload to our Telegram after I upload it on the YouTube. Okay. So if there is nothing to ask, so I want to make a screenshot first. Okay. So that's all, I think, for today. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you for your focus. And then we see you all next time on next day, next class on Friday. Thank you all. Okay, you can leave the class right now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Huh? Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for your cooperation and focus. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Teacher,
Yes.
want to copy the title like last year.
Excuse me. What you want to ask? Want to
The
copy what?
title. Yeah, the title.
The title. Yes.
Copy like
Oh.
last.
Okay. 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 I think you can leave maybe one or two pages. You just leave blank pages, maybe one or two pages, and then you can start the formative practice question first. No need to write the title lah. You understand me?
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Huisin, see you next week. Mantai, thank you. See you next week. Not next week, next Friday, sorry.